Hello and welcome back to another vlog with me, Jaspreet Garg, a life body coach. That's what I call myself these days. Interesting, yeah, talking about labels. I don't know if it's the right label for me, but this world operates in such a way where if you don't put yourself in something, people sometimes find it hard to be able to associate you in their system. So that's kind of where I've kind of decided to go, okay, this is what I am right now, but I'm also still experimenting with that. And and that's why I'm doing these vlogs, because I think part of the experimentation of life for me these days is about talking. And through talking comes maybe a little bit more clarity, more understanding, for me at least, and maybe for anyone who's watching this as well. If you don't know what I'm about, please have a quick look in the about section of my YouTube channel. It will give you an idea of why I'm doing these vlogs. So we're a week on. Last week I talked about finding new rhythms in the body, and that is in relation to changes that we see ourselves go through from time to time. And as I've shared in my recent vlogs, I've started a part-time job and I'm noticing a different rhythm within my body. And I thought I'd just give a little update on that as well, because I want you to know that I don't just talk about these things, I'm living through these things. And if I'm saying, noticing the rhythms, what am I doing with that? So the proof is in the pudding, as they say, or you know, what was the other term that I once came across whilst working? Not just talking the talk, but walking the talk. The corporate values, ways to describe things. So I just wanted to actually share, like last week I talked about taking more rest in the body. And just a continuation of that theme, I found myself in not like it was a health issue that kind of brought on knowing that I needed to rest last week, whereas this week I didn't have any serious or any kind of health concerns, but it's a continuous process. So this week, just because I'm feeling better doesn't mean that I'm now throwing myself into mentally what feels good. So yesterday, I work Monday to Wednesday, 9 till 5-ish. And I have all these grand plans as part of the coaching business that I'm in the process of establishing and exploring. I have these grand plans of what I want to do next, and then reality kicks in and the body has its own rhythm. And I found myself yesterday not feeling 100% energetic, not even feeling 50% energetic, like noticing quite early on in the day, even though I'd had a lie-in in comparison to the earlier part of the week, I still felt tired. So I decided to take the day a lot more chilled, at a slower pace. And by the afternoon, it wasn't an immediate like, Jaspreet, clearly you're too tired to do anything today, so just kick back. That did not happen first thing in the morning. I still had intentions to do bits on the coaching side during the day, like in the morning even. But I found myself back in bed at around 11, maybe 12 noon, and I slept for 2 hours, got up at 2, and that's when I realised I'm still adjusting to this new routine. And I don't need to be full cylinders at the moment, even with these grand plans in mind. So that's when I gave myself the permission to not do anything for the rest of the day. And it just so happens that my husband's on annual leave this week, and we've both been talking about wanting to watch the Harry Potters together. I've seen parts in the past. I don't think I've ever watched a full movie. Even if I have, I've got a really bad memory when it comes to movies. I hadn't definitely seen the first one. So we watched a couple of the Harry Potters yesterday. We're doing it in sequence. And it was just so nice. Like, if I compare myself to a couple of years ago, the idea of allowing myself that time to not be productive and to sit down and watch back-to-back movies when I had intentions at the beginning of the day to do certain things that, you know, are going to help my business development, and, you know, this coach that, another label, coach that I see myself being. A couple of years ago, I would have probably really resisted that urge in me to not do any of that and to just sit down and watch a movie. I would have beaten myself up for having any thoughts about chilling, about relaxing, or I would have probably gone half in, half out, like, I'll do a couple of hours of work and then I'll come and sit down and watch that movie. Like, there wouldn't have been this, probably not much of a tuning in to how I feel internally and really honouring the way I feel internally and showing that through my actions. That wasn't really there. It was like non-existent a couple of years ago. So yeah, I just wanted to like give a little update on what I was talking about last week and how it's all a process. It's not, now that you've realised this, that, you know, that's it. It's this constant, it's like a muscle. You're practicing this awareness every day. You're being tested every day. And it's up to you whether you do something about it, you know, or whether you push against it and resist it and don't listen to yourself and continue being this person that you don't really want to be, but you think you need to be. So yeah, so I had quite a chilled out day yesterday, which was nice. Like, I remember being all giggly as well. Like, I felt like a little child almost. Like, it was so nice just to kick back and watch those movies and be like, the other thing I remember saying to my husband was, it's like really nice to be doing this during the week, you know, like on a weekday. We normally reserve these things for the weekend or yeah, like Christmas time or something, but it was just so nice where we were both, like, he was off from work, I decided to give myself that permission to be off, and you know, we just enjoyed each other's company and enjoyed watching these movies and just had a nice little giggle about it all, like little kids that had taken, you know, I don't want to say bunked a day off school, but something along those lines, like just being quite like, hee hee hee, look at us, look at what we're doing. So I think that was more me than him, but yeah. So I thought I'd share a little bit more about my adjusting to the new routine and how it's an ongoing process. It's like a muscle that you've got to fine tune every day. And then I found myself journaling about this earlier. So today I have been cracking on with a bit of work, and I found myself just at the beginning of the day though, just journaling a bit about how yesterday was for me. And then I was like, I want to read back to where I was this time. I didn't do it a year ago. I ended up in 2018, like one of the first diary entries I'd made since I decided to stop everything that seemed true to me at the time, working, being someone that I thought I needed to be. So it was the first diary entry that I made when I was going through this huge shift in my life. And I read it all. And I guess I kind of felt the urge to bring it to my vlog today, because there were some real like inspirational words that really, like, to this day hold true for me. So I won't read the whole thing. It's not that long anyways, but like at the beginning I talk about how I've never really done writing a journal entry, or at least I haven't done it for a very long time. And I kind of might make myself laugh because I realise I'm overthinking it, and I'm like, no one is going to read this. This is for me. Why am I? It was that whole perfectionist in me of, this has got to sound like really profound and amazing, because when I look back at this, like I did today, I'm going to be bowled over and be like, wow, look at you. You're like such a writer, Jaspreet. But I caught myself in that moment when I was writing it. So I'm glad that the Jaspreet 2 years ago had that level of self-awareness and slight hilarity to her. So I told myself, I've written down little lessons as I'm kind of learning in this first journal entry. Lesson 1 to self: stop overthinking and learn to let go, smiley face. So I thought that was cute. And then I kind of talk about like how much of a shift I'm going through, and I've written in caps, what the hell am I going to do with my life? Yeah, that was so true of me. And when I think back to that now, I can see why I was so in fear. Nothing seemed clear. Everything seemed like cloudy. But I'd reached out at that time, and I was getting some life coaching, and I think that was one of the best moves I made, because there's a lot of kind of the energy that I was getting from that process. I can feel it as I'm reading this entry, like it's feeding into it. If I was on my own, like not getting that help, I'm sure this entry still would have been true of where I was, but there's a lot more kind of, there was a positive tone coming through, which I'll describe in a sec. So I kind of start breaking down points, like 1, I know leaving my job was the right decision because I didn't feel this was where I was meant to be, profession, organisation. And I kind of just continue like listing things of why the change I've made in my life has been a good thing. So I'm seeking out the positives, as I said, like, why have I made this change? What positives do I see in making this change? And one of the points actually I want to share is that through the coaching, this point, point number 5 of my entry, I've come to accept that my sad, depressed, and it's the end of the world side is a hugely valuable and loved part of me. The latter I'm still working on. I no longer want to put myself down for feeling down. If I want to be sad, mope around the flat and just watch TV all day, then that's absolutely fine. I understand better now that that is a part of me that enables me to fully appreciate happy times. I need to have this side in order to have the other side. All sides, but in brackets this word is getting a bit too repetitive, are important and necessary. That was like a massive realization to me, that dark sides of us, as hard as they are to look at, to feel, to go through, they're such an essential part of our human nature. And I think I'd spent so many years like rejecting that part of me, not feeling proud of that part of me, conversely feeling ashamed of that part of me. And I'm sure that's due to a culmination of so many different things. And I had that realization at that point that having that side of me, it's a good thing. And since writing that, like I said earlier about my journey with the change of rhythms in the body, like you have that realization, but it doesn't stop there, does it? Because I spent the next couple of years, and still am, you know, when I'm having a down day, I'm sometimes feeling why, and I don't like this. Where has this come from? Sometimes it just comes out of nowhere. And then I'd say it's a bit like meditation, where the more you've got this level of self-awareness, and the more you bring like that into your life, that having these dark sides, having these negative sides, sad sides, depressed sides, they're a good thing. The more you learn to practice that thinking, the quicker you accept it, the quicker you allow it in, the quicker you allow yourself to feel those things. And then there's like less of the resistance and the non-acceptance, and actually it is okay to feel like this. And I used to probably take like, I don't know, all I can think is it used to take me a long time before to get to that level of let it in and feel it and accept it and befriend it. It used to take me a lot longer than it does now. Like I said yesterday, I could have got annoyed at myself and not allow myself that day of rest and, you know, all the other things that I mentioned. That would have been me a couple of years ago. Like, it probably would have taken me I might have spent yesterday, today, Saturday trying to do bits on the business, and by Sunday I would have realised, no, I really do need to rest, you know? It would have taken me longer. That's the point I'm trying to make. You can kind of just drop yourself into it. Once you start practicing it more and giving yourself that permission to feel whatever you're feeling, it comes to you quicker. So yeah, I go through those points. I then start listing out, because I basically decided at that point that I didn't want the masculine energy, talked about that a couple of weeks ago, in my life anymore. Didn't feel like it was serving me, and I felt like, you know, this is the insight that I had then, which I'm so proud of. As important as that all is to me, I acknowledge that during a time of exploration, putting up boundaries and defining time for this or that can inhibit creativity. Wow, I'm so glad I had that realization then. So I let go of a lot of masculine energy, allowed a lot of feminine creativity energy in, and then I start listing out things that I started doing more of. And again, going back to the point of practicing, I had all these ideas in my mind, like I want to do meditation, I want to practice yoga at home, reading books, cooking more, listening to calming music, using the oil burner, switching the TV off, talking to my husband about my fears and worries. So a lot of these things, when I read this list now, it wasn't like a flick of a switch. However, I can wholeheartedly say now, like, for instance, yoga at home, practicing yoga at home, that was pretty much non-existent for about a year after writing it in my diary. And now I'm more committed to it. I have this sense of enjoyment or nourishment by doing it. And I don't think I'm going off point here, but I've been reading this book. It's called Chakras by Anodea Judith, if that's how you say her name. And I dip in and out of this. I haven't read it front to back all in one go. And it just so happens that where I'm at in life, it seems to synchronize quite nicely with the chapter that I'm on. And I was on Chakra 6 this week when I picked it up after many, many months of not looking at it. Chakra 6 represents light, and what she talks about in here, I feel like it lends itself quite nicely to the point that I'm trying to make. Like, those things that I wanted to bring into my life, they didn't just happen just like that, but I had the intention there to want to bring them in. And she talks about like how, for instance, most people think of seeing as something that happens passively. You just open your eyes and images pour in. But it is also an active practice when you use your imagination. That's how you see, in inverted commas, what you want to create, even though it doesn't exist yet. So those things on my list, they weren't like, yeah, I had the intention, but I wasn't like, yeah, I am now going to throw myself into these things. It took time for me to make these things more of a practice, but I knew, like me, who I was then, knew that these things were good for me. They did something for me, and that's where, you know, going to the feminine energy, the creative energy, by allowing those things in, they're going to serve me in the long term going forward. But there's something that I need to make space for, bring in gradually and authentically, you know, not like, I know yoga's good for me, therefore I will do it. No, I want to do yoga. It does something for me, but I'm going to do it from that place, from that authentic place, not from a place of do, masculine energy. So, yeah, I thought what I read and just kind of reflecting over my journal entry, they kind of come together really nicely. And I guess what she's getting at here is manifestation. So you could look at it like that, or you could just think of that imaginative side, you know, whether you don't want to call it manifestations, but just being more imaginative, allowing the imagination to run. What would make you more kind of feel like you know, you're more, if you let down your boundaries, what would you want to bring into your life? What would be interesting, exciting? I did things like calligraphy at the time, which I haven't really practiced much, but it was a desire, and I let myself run with that desire. I'm just conscious of how long I've been talking for, and I think I just want to finish on this paragraph because it kind of, I felt momentum when I was reading it back. I ask of the universe to show me what it is that I am meant to be working towards each and every day. I have worked on quietening the voice in my head to ensure I hear the whisper. I've stopped doing things as before to ensure I see the signs. I'm trying to connect with my intuition more to ensure I feel the inspiration in my body. I'm improving the food and drinks I put into my body to ensure I taste the beautiful flavours of our earth. I'm filling my lungs with the aromas of my oil burner to put at ease all my other senses, to ensure I smell the idea, direction, and dream. You have opened up parts of me that I'm considering to explore. I want to keep filling the cup of self-belief that I can bring good change into my life. It doesn't matter if I'm not 100% certain about them. I know that it's my doubts and fears taking over. Help me see the way, help me believe in myself, help me take those steps into the unknown. It feels really lovely, like reading back over all these like intuitive things that came to me then, and how I was really like, I'm ready to receive, you know, like opening myself up. I'm ready to receive, universe. I just need your help. I just need your help. So, and there is something about how we do that, but I don't think I'm going to talk about that here. But yeah, I just wanted to share a few words of where I was a couple of years ago, and yeah, like letting down boundaries and allowing your imagination to run, and that all these things, like if the intention is there to be more open to new things, exciting things, to be very gentle with yourself and patient. From my experience, you know deep down inside what you want to do, what feels good within you, and it might not come to fruition at that point. Like you may not feel like you're able to put those things in place at that point in your life, but just persevere, because those things are true to who your true nature is. And if you just keep persevering, it will come. It will really come into your life, and it will feel natural, it will feel authentic, and it will feel true. So on that note, I'm going to love you and leave you, and wish you a beautiful weekend of being true to who you are. Thank you. Take care.